Hello folks, it's Gordon here. I hope all is well with you. And this video I've called, Don't Put Yourself at the Front of This Queue. And I'm looking at one of my quote images. In fact, it's a quote image that I posted yesterday. You'll see it on my timeline, and I will also post it again under this video when I finish the video. And the quote image was of a lovely chocolatey sunset here on the down in the Kent coast here in Britain. And the words I put over the top said this: "There are plenty of people waiting to say you're not good enough. Don't put yourself at the front of the queue." There are plenty of people waiting to say you're not good enough. Don't put yourself at the front of the queue. And I made that one a few years ago. I'm going to tell you about what made me come up with that idea and what we can do about it. Trying to remember that we've only got 10 minutes on LinkedIn. So here we go. Now, there used to be a TV show here in Britain called How to Look Good Naked by a fashion designer called Gok Wan. And he would help a woman who had terrible self-esteem issues and body issues and make her feel good about herself. And as part of the program, he would have the woman in a room down to her underwear, with a room, nothing sordid about it. She'd be down to her underwear in a room of models, also down to their underwear, of various different shapes and sizes. And he would get the woman to place herself in the lineup where she thought she was according to her size. Okay? So he would get the woman to place herself where she thought she fitted in the lineup. And she would always get it wrong. She would always put herself in the lineup bigger than where she actually was. So she would add 2 dress sizes at least to her own shape and size, what she thought she was. And when Gok Wan would tell the woman this, that a lot of times they just simply wouldn't believe it. And when they did believe it, often there'd be a lot of tears, because it would all come out about this self-esteem body issue thing. And Gok Wan would say, "You think you're fatter than you are because you believed what other people have told you." And it made me come up with this idea. There are plenty of people waiting to say you're not good enough. Don't put yourself at the front of the queue. This definitely applies to people who relate to the label of being a passionate creative, but it applies to anyone in all walks of life. There are plenty of people waiting to say you're not good enough. Oh, that doesn't work for you. You will fail. People will laugh at you. You're not good enough. You're not quick enough. You're not thin enough. You're not clever enough. You're not bright enough. You're not intelligent enough. You're not talented enough. You're not good enough. Now, some people tell us this because they genuinely think we aren't good enough and they want to stop us failing and making a fool of ourselves and ending in tears. So they might have good intentions, but it's not a good way of dealing with it, not a good way of communicating it, obviously. Other people do think you're good enough, but they tell you you're not because they don't want you to succeed. That's a whole different intention. Certainly not a good way of communicating it, and certainly not a good intention in the first place. But nevertheless, as we believe these things, what happens is that the person telling us the most, in the most harshest terms, and the most often and the most impactful, that we're not good enough, the person doing that the most is ourself. I know it because I've done it, but I have done it. Do I still do it today? I can do, yes. But the difference is I catch myself doing it, and I'm aware of myself doing it, and I realise I'm putting myself at the front of the queue, telling me that I'm not good enough. I mustn't do it. We mustn't do it. You mustn't do it. Instead, leave that queue altogether and join a different queue. A different queue of people waiting to tell you, oh, you are good enough. Yeah. It's okay you being you. The real, genuine, authentic, passionate you is okay. And it's okay you doing something about it. It's okay following your dreams, following your passions, to have ambitions and do something about it. All that is okay. Oh yeah. Now, you might think in the real world, offline world, that crowd doesn't exist. Your family, your peer pressure, your work colleagues, your friends, the media. No, none of those people will tell you that you're good enough. Well, I've got two answers to that. The first answer is you might be surprised once you start telling people about the real authentic you and what you're going to do about it. You might be surprised how many people switch to being supportive, extremely, amazingly supportive. It's not always the case, of course, but, and I've said this before, the internet is a staggering abundance of opportunity. And I can assure you, that queue of people waiting to tell you that you are good enough and to encourage, inspire and motivate you is absolutely, definitely there online. Whatever niche we're talking about, in whichever of the 5 key life areas, health, wealth, career, relationships and lifestyle, that queue of people, that crowd and community is there to support you and welcome you. And I know it's true because, hey, I'm part of that crowd. That's what this message is doing. I'm putting that message out there to tell people that it's okay and to welcome people into that crowd if they didn't think that crowd existed or if they didn't think that crowd was for them. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this queue of people waiting to tell us that we're not good enough and why they do it. And let me know what you think about not putting yourself at the front of that queue, but putting yourself at the front of a different queue that tells you that you are good enough. Okay, looking forward to hearing and seeing your thoughts posted below wherever you happen to be seeing this video. Signing off for now, wishing you as ever health and happiness. I'll speak to you again soon.